And unlike Marjorie Taylor Greene or a bunch of people on the right, bloviating, talking out of both sides of their mouth, knowing that they're pushing for something that'll never happen, meaning invoking the 25th Amendment, that ain't gonna happen. As long as he's alive and breathing, Donald Trump's gonna be the president until the end of the year 2028. It's just a fact. The 25th Amendment will not be executed. Stop it. Just say what Stephen A. said. You got former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene right there, 25th Amendment, not a single bomb has dropped on America. We cannot kill an entire civilization. This is evil and madness. Yeah. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. This is not foreign policy. It's a deranged madman threatening to wipe out an entire country. It's past time. The 25th Amendment must be invoked. Stop it. All you're showing is how useless you are. To invoke the 25th Amendment, you're going to have to get the vice president to sign off, the Republicans in the House to sign off, cabinet members to sign off, basically declaring him unfit. It's something the president is fully capable of fighting by saying he's not unfit. And as a result, it's a reason why it's never been exercised in American history. Stop it.
Trump just transitioned. Yesterday, he was a tyrant. Today, he's a taco.
Donald Trump just caved, backing down from his fake deadline.
All day today, everyone, most notably the people of Iran, were wondering if their civilization was going to die tonight. Well, good news, it didn't. It was the Taco Tuesday of all Taco Tuesdays.
It's been very obvious for the last few days that the president was looking for an off-ramp.
The taco, Trump always chickens out syndrome.
Good. So Trump's a war criminal who stopped the war because he's a chicken. I can't follow it. Dems want to give 47 the 25th because he threatened Iran so hard they signed a ceasefire?
We just can't accept a president who is literally promising to destroy an entire civilization, to murder hundreds of thousands of innocent human beings. That alone should be grounds for the removal of this president. But he thinks, I guess, that the threat of mass-scale war crimes has achieved some success.
Senator Chris Murphy said Trump was losing the war and he should stop bombing. So Trump stopped bombing. And Murphy called him crazy for stopping. Again, it makes no sense. I can't tell if the Democratic Party wants war or peace. I just know they want Trump to lose. And they want to lock him up for free speech.
The language there was, a war crime. It threatens war crime. It threatened genocidal-like behavior. It is the kind of language, as I said yesterday, associated with the monsters of history, to wipe out a civilization. That's simply not how presidents speak. That's not how leaders of democracies speak.
He's right. That's not usually how presidents speak. But most presidents don't usually win wars in 38 days. Maybe more presidents should speak like that. We wouldn't have been in Afghanistan for 20 years. Paul Morrow made the point on The Five. You know who really ended the Persian civilization? The mullahs. They had a beautiful thing going on until the Islamic Revolution. The media thinks Trump's the bad guy. And the mullahs, who slaughter protesters and use kids as human shields, they have the moral high ground.
How can the president claim that America can ever have the moral high ground if he's threatening to destroy civilizations and not casting wars as fights against other governments?
Andrew, I think you should take a look at the actions of this president over the course of the past 6 weeks and the actions of our brave men and women in our United States military who have taken out essentially taken out the military of a rogue Islamic regime that has chanted death to America for 47 years, that has killed and maimed thousands of American soldiers over the course of the last 5 decades. The president absolutely has the moral high ground over the Iranian terrorist regime, and for you to even suggest otherwise is frankly insulting.
Let me ask you something right out the gate. Why is it that every time America finally shows even a hint of strength on the world stage, half the country immediately panics like we are the bad guys? Seriously, think about this. Iran has been chanting death to America for decades. Decades. This isn't new. This isn't controversial. This isn't up for interpretation. It is baked into their regime, their ideology, and their messaging. But the second Donald Trump responds with strength, with forceful language, with a posture that actually matches the threat, suddenly people on the left are clutching their pearls like he just said something outrageous. No. What he said is the kind of language you use when you're dealing with regimes that only understand power. And that's the part that too many Americans either don't understand or refuse to accept. You cannot negotiate softly with people who fundamentally want you gone. You can't sit down over tea and politely ask extremists to stop being extremists. That's not how this works. And yet, here we are again, watching Democrats lose their minds, not over Iran's decade-long threats, but over Trump refusing to play nice with them. That tells you everything you need to know about where their priorities are. And now on top of that, they're floating this absurd idea of invoking the 25th Amendment, like that's even remotely realistic. It's not about actually removing Trump. They know they can't do that. This is about optics, messaging, and controlling low information voters. It's about repeating the word unfit enough times until it sticks. You ever heard of that saying that if you say something so many times long enough, it will stick in people's minds, even if it's a lie? If you say it so many times enough, then people just have to believe it, right? That's the game. That's always the game. And while they're playing political theater, the rest of us are looking at a very real situation involving national security, military operations, and global stability. So yeah, we're going to need to break all that down today because people need to understand what's actually happening here and why this matters. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into this because the reaction we're seeing from the left right now is honestly more telling than the situation itself. They're acting like Trump saying something tough toward Iran is reckless, dangerous, even grounds for removal under the 25th Amendment. But let's be clear, the 25th Amendment is not some political tool you just whip out because you don't like a president's tone. It is specifically designed for situations where a president is physically or mentally incapable of performing their duties. That's not what this is. And everyone pushing that narrative knows it. And what they are doing is weaponizing ignorance. They're banking on the fact that a large portion of the population doesn't actually understand how the 25th Amendment works. So they can throw it out there, repeat it on media cycles, and create the illusion or this illusion that Trump is somehow unstable. Meanwhile, they had no problem defending a president who could barely finish a sentence. No disrespect to the Bidens, I actually feel like that was elder abuse in a way, because who to know if our former president, all respect to his family, Jill and Joe Biden, if Joe Biden was actually in the right mind frame as he was running this country, right? Who was visibly confused half the time, who was struggling with basic coherence, and they covered for him nonstop. So spare me with the concern about fitness. This isn't about fitness. This is about control. And while they're busy playing that game, they're also completely ignoring the reality of what we're dealing with internationally. Iran is not a friendly nation. Iran is not a misunderstood partner. Iran is a hostile regime that has made its intentions crystal clear for decades. When you're dealing with that kind of adversary, you don't respond with weakness. You don't respond with softness. You respond with strength, clarity, and a willingness to act. That doesn't mean you rush into war, but it does mean you don't play no games. And that's another thing people keep getting wrong here. This isn't even technically war in the way the media likes to frame it. Words matter. This is a military operation, a conflict, a strategic engagement. It's not full-scale war, but calling it that makes for better headlines and better fear mongering. And fear is exactly what's being used to manipulate public perception right now. Now let's go deeper, because this is where the conversation separates people who understand how the world actually works from people who are just reacting emotionally. And when you're dealing with military operations, there are realities that are uncomfortable, but they are real. Nothingness. One of those realities is that conflict involves risk, sacrifice, and sometimes civilian casualties. As much as I hate to say it, let me break it to you. That has been true in every single major conflict in human history. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, you name it. There has never been a war without civilian casualties. That doesn't make it desirable, but it does make it inevitable. And that's why serious leaders treat war as a last resort. But here's the flip side that nobody wants to talk about. If a situation is serious enough to justify military action, then it has to be taken seriously enough to actually win. You cannot play this game where you put one foot in and one foot out. War is not the hokey pokey. You're the hokey pokey, then you run it all out. I forgot how to go. But you get what I'm saying? You don't halfway commit. This is not lukewarm type of activity here. If you're going to engage, you engage with the intent to end the threat. Otherwise, you don't go at all. And what Trump represents, whether people like it or not, is a shift away from this weak, hesitant, overly cautious approach that has defined American foreign policy for years. He's willing to match aggression with aggression. He's willing to speak in terms that adversaries actually understand. And that's why it makes people uncomfortable, because it's not polished, it's not pretty, but it's effective. And effectiveness is what actually matters when you're dealing with national security. Now, I'm not saying you have to like everything or how Trump say things. Okay? Change can be uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, results and effectiveness matter in regards of this situation, and also our president upholding national security and keeping America first. You can critique all you want how he said certain things, but also critique the effectiveness along with it. If you want to do that, be fair across the board. Don't just selectively critique one thing because you don't like it and then hammer on that and just try to disregard everything else. That's all I'm saying. Now let's talk about something that really exposes the disconnect here: the military itself. The overwhelmingly majority of people serving in the United States militarily come from conservative, Republican, or Christian backgrounds. These are individuals who understand sacrifice, duty, and what it means to defend a nation. A lot of times, me going to a private school, Catholic school, we understand that also, service hours and duties of service, right, is important. It's a civic duty to be upheld because it's bigger than you. The same way, for example, with voting, which is why I do these things in regards of every time a lie is spoken, I speak the truth and give you guys the truth to understand that it's our civic duties, because when we vote and we get involved to make sure the country go in the right directions for generations after us, also you are helping make decisions for individuals who may not be able to make decisions, like individuals on disabilities, And yet, you have politicians and commentators who have never served trying to dictate how these situations should be handled. That's not just naive, it's dangerous. Because when decisions are made based on feelings instead of strategy, missions fail and people get hurt. Compare that to what we saw in Afghanistan: the bots withdrawal, the lives lost, equipment abandoned, and somehow the same people who defended that are now outraged over strong rhetoric. That's not consistency, that's selective outrage, which I mentioned earlier. And beyond that, there's a second battle happening, a domestic one. Democrats aren't stupid, they are very strategic. They know they can't invoke the 25th Amendment, but they also know if they repeat Trump is unfit enough times, low information voters will start to believe it. That's the real objective. It's messaging, not governance. So at the end of the day, what we're really looking at here is a choice between strength and weakness, a choice between clarity and confusion, a choice between leadership that prioritizes national security and leadership that prioritizes political optics. And right now, in the outrage we're seeing from the left tells you exactly where they stand. They're more concerned with how things sound than with what actually works. They're more concerned with scoring political points than with addressing real threats. And that should concern every single American, regardless of political affiliation, no matter what the party is. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about Trump. It's about how we approach leadership, how we handle conflict, and how we protect this amazing country moving forward. Strength is not instability. Deterrence is not recklessness, and pretending otherwise only weakens us on the global stage. So I want to hear from you. What do you think about all this? Do you think strength is being mischaracterized? Do you think this 25th Amendment talk is genuine or just political strategy? Drop your thoughts down below in the comments. Hit the like button if you found this breakdown helpful. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your post notifications so you never miss another upload. As always, family, we just having a conversation. Peace.